The member representing Obudu, Obanleku, Bekwara constituency in the House of Representatives, Honorable Legor Idagbo, has put together a bill called Sexual Offenders Registration Bill. Speaking to Linda Akibe, host of The Gavel on Channels TV, Honorable Legor hoped that when passed, the bill will help reduce sexual abuse of children in Nigeria.
Well, the name of this bill is Sexual Offenders Registration Bill. The key word in there is registration. It's a bill that seeks to curtail the activities of sexual offenders. Our records show, and history would have it, that most people that commit sexual offenses are prone to committing such sexual offenses over and over and over again. And because of the trauma that their victims suffer, what this bill seeks to achieve is to prevent them from committing these sexual offenses. It's not enough to say once a person commits a sexual offense, the person must face the wrath of the law, must go to jail and all that. We must protect people who are vulnerable to these sexual offenders. So what the bill is saying simply is that if there is a sexual offender in any part of the country, let the authorities know about this sexual offender. Let the sexual offender be monitored. If he goes to get a job, possibly in a school where he will be exposed to minors, let the school authorities be aware that this person has indeed committed a sexual offense in the past. That way they are able to monitor and watch his activities and prevent such a thing from reoccurring again. So it's a pretty straightforward bill. It's a bill that seeks to protect our minors, who are left vulnerable in the hands of some of these sexual offenders. Like I said, most people that commit sexual offenses against minors tend to do it over and over and over again. So we cannot just wait and be reactive when they do it. We must be proactive to see how we can stop them from committing such sexual offenses in the future. You see, like, our laws are not perfect. If you look carefully at our laws, there's no part of our law, not even the Child's Right Act, that deals with child pornography. Some of these sexual offenders have taken to the internet. They use the internet as their tool to see how they can commit sexual offenses against minors. As you are aware, before a person attains the age of 18, the person is not capable of giving consent. So there's no question as to say it was consensual. So some people go on the internet and get young girls of less than 18 to expose themselves, go into pornography and all that. So this bill stems to curtail some of those actions of sexual offenders. So for anybody that commits such an offense using the internet, the person is liable upon conviction to a term of imprisonment and a fine. And of course, the person should also be registered and monitored so that we ensure that the person does not continue committing such offenses. Yeah, like I said, what the Child's Right Act basically tries to do is to enforce the rights of the child, as much as it also tries to protect the child against certain abuses and all that. But what this bill is doing is going the extra mile to say, okay, let us monitor the sexual offenders and see how we can stop them or prevent them from committing such sexual offenses in the future. That is not captured under the Child's Right Act. So with this bill, we seek to go a step further to see how we can create an environment, a society where our young ones will feel safe, where our young ones will be free from such abuses or molestations.
According to him,
we must begin to make laws that are futuristic. We must begin to make laws that look at a developed society. We can't continue making laws that will stagnate us where we are. What we're trying to say is that why should our police not be able to take fingerprints of people? Why should our police not even be able to do DNA tests? You understand? It's done world over. We cannot continue remaining stagnant the way we are. You understand? So we're going to put these laws to test. We'll debate all these issues on the floor of the National Assembly. And at the end of the day, when these laws are passed, it will compel the police to do what they need to do. Because if there's a law like that and the police is coming up with their budget, they need to include those things in the budget. And of course, they will come before the National Assembly again with that same budget and we'll pass it, giving them the wherewithal to do what they need to do. We are here for them. As well as we make these laws, we're also here to give them what it takes for them to do their work properly. I think it's going to be a law which will be universal. I don't think it's necessarily going to be adopted by states, but states that want to adopt and domicile this law are free to do so using their state houses of assembly. You understand? Some of these things are things that the states can do in concurrence with the National Assembly. But basically, we're not amending any section of the Constitution. We're just making this legislation. So once the Senate and the House of Rep pass this into law, it becomes, and is signed by the President, of course, it becomes effective. So any state that wants to properly domicile it can do that through their houses of assembly. That's why I said, going by this legislation, we also intend to strengthen the police in line with what the law provides. If the police does not have the equipment, all they need to do is to see how they can procure some of these equipments. You know, if we set up an agency, for instance, that would monitor these sexual offenders, what we're saying is that we'll equip that agency, give them all the tools they need to carry out their assignment. And if this agency is going to be doing their work state by state, of course they will need equipment, of course they will need all of this. And this law will enable them come to the National Assembly to say, okay, we need you to include this in our budget so that we can procure some of these items in line with the law that you've passed. You know, and once they come to the National Assembly asking us for the resources, we'll provide the resources for them so that they can properly do their work. It works in such a way that there are certain people that have the right to know, to have the information that so and so person is a sexual offender and this person is within your vicinity. For instance, like I said, schools, places where minors would often be found, need to know that so and so person is a sexual offender. Recreational facilities, they need to know that a sexual offender is around your vicinity and probably would want to use your recreational facilities. So that way you can properly put an eye on this person. I don't know if you understand what I mean. So what we're saying is that certain bodies that need to know of the presence of a sexual offender in their vicinity would be given that information. Well, we'll do all we need to do. You know, when sponsoring a bill, if you sponsor a bill and you're laid back about it, if you don't properly educate persons as to the importance of this bill and as to the reason why this bill should pass, people are not adequately informed. They could go to the floor and probably not speak in favor of your bill or even speak against it for want of adequate information, and then the bill will fail. So what we're doing now, talking to Nigerians about the importance of this bill, is one of those things we'll be doing to ensure that this bill passes. We'll do a lot of advocacy, we'll talk to our colleagues, we'll get them to see the importance of passing this bill into law. It's my hope that because of how important this bill is to our young ones, that it will pass into law. You know, we'll debate it on the floor of the House. We'll get well-meaning Nigerians to see how important this bill is to our country, and then we'll hope that at the end of the day it's passed into law. Yeah, like you rightly asked, the first question you asked is what stage is this bill at? The bill has not even gone through the first reading yet. We've just sent it to the Rules and Business for them to schedule it for first reading. It's my hope that once it's scheduled for first reading, we'll continue or we'll start some robust engagement with these civil society groups, with these advocacy groups, so that we can get Nigerians to know the importance of this bill, and then we can get our colleagues to key into it and support its passage into law. I'm very hopeful, and I'm happy that we've started early. The 8th Assembly still has well over a year to go. You know, so I'm hopeful that by the time we come back from recess, the bill would have gone through first reading, and then we'll start work to ensure that it passes not only at the House of Reps, but also passes at the Senate.
Frank Edima reporting.